What is good, YouTube? It's Lyle Tough AF here with the LCS 5 champion, David Edwards.
Hello.
And did you go undefeated both days, good sir?
I did go undefeated, and it was my first LCS ever.
Oh, that's hype.
I know. It was pretty nice.
How'd you like playing Dragon League?
It was definitely a deck I've been comfortable with. I've been playing it for a couple months. You're on my team. I've also been very hyped for the Nova Knight deck, but it was just like to a point where I couldn't get it to work the way I wanted it to, so I just fell back on the deck I was most comfortable with, and it worked out really well for me.
Oh, that's awesome. So you want to get into this deck list now, my guy?
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, lit.
All right, so if you look at the deck list, it's a pretty strange. I guess like some people have said, it looks weird the way it's formatted. It's formatted from starters, extenders, and then the rockets, and then hand traps, and then combo pieces. So your first line is where your starters, your best starters, Chaos Space being the best one. These are the cards you want to see at least one of these cards in your hand. These are the cards that get you pretty much do all your combos. And then your next line and a half is your extenders. These also can get your combos started, but these are the cards that let you play through hand traps, especially World Legacy Guardragon. It's probably the best extender. Not probably, it is definitely the best extender in the deck.
Alrighty.
Yeah. And then you have your rocket engine, which is pretty strong. And then you have your hand traps, which, everybody knows. It seems like every format where we have more and more hand traps.
Exactly.
Gamma being the best one currently, in my opinion. And then you have Imperm, Ash, which hits like over half of the card base. And then you have Ogre. So most people would probably ask me, why do I play 2 Ogre or 3 Ogre and 2 Ash? Well, the reason for that is Ash is once per turn. It's not a light or a dark, so I can't pitch it for Chaos Space. The only other viable thing that it has in this deck, besides being a hand trap, is that it's a tuner. While its Ogre is a light, it is a tuner, and it does one of the things that I was most afraid of going into the format, which I just didn't see any of, was the Numeron deck. Ogre prevents Zexal from coming onto the board, so that's why 3 Ogre instead of 2 Ogre. So that's the main reason why the ratio there.
Understandable on that.
Yep, and then the rest is just combo pieces, quote unquote bricks. Even though some of them aren't necessarily bricks. Like I don't mind, even though it's not optimal. I don't mind opening up boot sector, especially if I have like Tracer or Tracer plus any other rocket, because then it just becomes 2 monsters on the board for free.
Yeah.
So.
How'd you feel about playing the 50 card list?
50. I think this card. I think specifically this deck and maybe the Nova Knight deck when I have to test it out somewhere. But specifically this deck, I think has to be more than 40. I know that goes against a lot of people's logic and whatever. But I think specifically this deck has to be more than 40 because like I said, you look at the last like line and a half. Maybe as like hand traps and combo pieces.
Mm-hmm.
While drawing one of them, one of them in a hand trap isn't much of a problem. If you start to draw multiples of each one of those, while you're going first, it makes it very difficult to play through hand traps. And this deck is very easily able to play through hand traps, but at 40 cards, you start to see more of those cards you don't want to see more often. So the 50 cards helps you space out those inconsistent hands. That's why. And it's not like you're, filling them with more cards you wouldn't be playing. You're filling them with more extenders, the third Nocto, the third World Legacy Guardragon, cards like that. Foolish Berry on Monster Reborn. So that's the reason why for the 50 specifically, I think, for this deck.
Alrighty. You want to go ahead and jump into that extra? It looks pretty standard to me, though.
Yeah, it's pretty standard. I guess the only thing you could say, which isn't, I guess, quote-unquote, a standard, would be either Apollousa or Hieratic Spirits, depending on who you're talking to. I like both. I generally end on Hieratic Spirits 90% of the time. But and the reason, well, let me explain. The reason why is Hieratic Spears allows you interaction on your opponent's turn, and it allows you a follow up after the Hieratic Spear is distributed itself to get Safer or Brotar if you haven't used it, or Red Darkness Metal, or Black Metal Dragon. You know, it just allows you to get another monster on the board, and if your board ever survives, then you can just use Carrier to get the other card that you didn't get, and it spirals out of control. And you generally just kill your opponent turn 2 for Safer or Spirit, Hieratic Spirit. And then Apollousa is for those more heavy monster combo decks, if I know what I'm playing against. So sometimes, like, for instance, the finals, I played against the Ritual Rock deck, and Apollousa is just insane against that deck. Like, if they don't have very many normal summons that they could do, you know, that could just like beat over an Apollousa. So like, if you have three counter Apollousa, you know, they don't really have anything to deal with it, honestly. So like, they just kind of auto lose, and then if you back that up with like, say, like a Pointer or the Red Lotus or something like that, you just auto win those games because they really can't deal with it at all. So that's the reason why for Apollousa.
Alrighty.
But other than that, everything else is pretty standard.
Yeah. You want to go into the sideboard now? Sure.
I think it's pretty standard. I mean, there's the triple Dark Ruler to deal with the combo decks. Put in a lot of work for me, especially in the finals. The Pointer of Red Lotus, which I just like to call the New Age Trap Dust Shoot.
Yeah.
Especially insane when you resolve your full combo. This is probably, coincidentally, this is probably also a card that you could probably swap out in the side deck. This is a card, I think, one of the only cards probably, if I had a chance to redo my list, that I would have swapped with the new trap card that was in the new set. I forget what it's called. I think it's like Dragon's Imprisonment or something like that.
Oh, Ice Dragon's Imprisonment.
Yeah, that card's like really, really good, and like it's like insane against like Eldritch decks. Like it just basically says you get to banish 2 lords for free if they ever have 2 lords, like one in the graveyard or one in the field, or like they're trying to resolve Conk or something like that. Like, it's just like ridiculous against that deck.
Yeah, that's wild.
And it's amazing against the mirror. It's really good against Warrior. So like, that card, it should definitely be heavily considered. And then you have the 3 Lightning Storm, the 2 Twin Twister, and I guess I'll put Red Reboot in the same breath as that. Mm-hmm. Those are basically your spell and trap removal. I also put Lightning Storm in against like random decks. Like, if I like, a lot of the time I'll win game 1 and don't know what I'm playing against. So I'll put in Lightning Storm because it's so versatile against the format. So yeah, and then after that you have your Droplets and your Pinkertops. Droplets is just insane. I think it's the best part of the set. I know people which are real hype about Tactical Talents, but this card does so much, and it lets you stop so much in like situations. I know people are like, oh, but Herald. There's ways to play around Herald with this card. Like, this card's insane.
Would you have preferred to play 3 Droplet over 3 Dark Ruler?
No, because there are situations where you just need to straight out stun the board.
Okay.
You need to like I said, against the finals, if it was like, say for instance, if I had double Droplet, I would have lost that game. No chance. I would have had no chance of winning that game.
I got you.
But since I had Dark Ruler, I was able to stop him from making the Red Dragon Calamities card, and that card just auto wins like every game pretty much.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so Dark Ruler I think is still absolutely necessary, but Droplets helps you play against those other unfair cards that are more common, like I said, like Zexal, VFD. You know, people forget about VFD, but that card is still looming in the background. Don't forget about it.
Yes. So you went with Twin Twisters over the Cosmic. Why is that, out of curiosity?
So, like I said, Twin Twisters is basically just against the back row decks, and Twin is basically a lot of times just like lightning storms in a lot of situations when you're playing against back row, and you don't really need cosmic. I guess like cosmic would be good against Eldritch. I guess is the thing, right?
Yeah.
But like when you're usually in those situations, you're usually like if you twin, you're usually winning the game. If you resolve twin or lightning, you're usually winning the game because you've like popped the conch or you've chained to the conch, and you know they have a lord. You're probably able to take over the board where they can't do anything. So usually when you're resolving these cards, it's just game.
Okay.
Or like you've put up a board where they can't deal with it. So twin, in my opinion, is really good. Plus, you know, you have cards you can afford to discard because like you get a lighter dark in the graveyard, or you know you ditch a tracer or something and you can bring it back with boot sector. So like twin to me is just like the better card, especially in this deck because it's so aggressive.
All right, understandable, my guy. So what were your matchups?
Okay. I played Ford, Eldritch Dogma. Then I played one Dinosaur Dogma. And then I played the Mirror Match, which is my good friend Mike Thomas. We did a lot of Therio. Shout out to him. I played him the first round of Swiss of day 2. And then the last round of Swiss was the first time I played against the Ritual Rock deck. I run the die roll, full combo. He didn't do it. He wasn't able to do anything. And then game 2, he just bricked, so I just killed him. And then top cut, I played against Infern Noble Knight, which was Kamal Cooks. He was really good. But he didn't open up very well in game 1, and in game 2, I somehow was able to win that game. Like I only opened up one hand trap, but he negated it with Herald, and I was still able to come back and win the game. Even though I kind of misplayed, I could have won the game a lot earlier than I did, and I noticed it right afterwards. If you watch that matchup, it was just insane. Like I very much thought I was going to lose game 2, but I somehow pulled it out, and it worked out for me. And then top 4, I played Mike again. Same thing. It's pretty much a die roll with the mirror match. I won both die rolls, so I won both matches.
Oof.
And then against the rock deck, I unfortunately this was where I thought my luck was going to end because I lost a die roll, and I know how insane this deck is. I was like, there's no way he breaks twice. So he does full combo, and I just scoop. He does full combo through a Nash, so I just scoop. I do full combo plus a pointer against him game 2. And then game 3, I had Dark Ruler Droplet, and I was able to stop him from doing the big synchro guy and dropping the card that blows up all my cards, and I'll end up winning the game.
Gotcha. That's hype.
Yeah. It was insane. I wasn't like I was hoping that I did well, you know. Was hoping that I was able to top, and I not only did I top, I went undefeated. I didn't drop a game, so it was very surprising to me, especially for my first LCS ever.
Yeah. Any other shout-outs you'd like to give, my guy?
Oh, for sure, of course. Gotta first and foremost shout out our team, Pandora's Prodigies, for sure. Shout out our sponsors, Jam 1 TCG and Top Cut, Anime and Games. And then shout out to Duelist Academy. Their Patreon is definitely worth it. They've helped me a lot, especially Asala. He's insane. Probably like best coach ever. He even helps me, when we're not doing sessions and stuff. I ask him about stuff all the time. Shout out to Cody Angeloff. He also helped me with the deck. Big shout out to Mike. We did theory all the time. Like we talked about it. We even talked about it after day 2. We talked about the rock deck because I didn't know what any of those cards did at all. Shout out to my girlfriend for allowing me to play Yu-Gi-Oh all weekend long. Like she's like, you know what, just go ahead. It's fine. So she's the real MVP here. The only reason why I was able to win.
The big facts right there, my guy.
Yeah, and then of course, shout out to you, man, for you doing this deck profile.
Oh, thank you, my guy. I appreciate it so much. And congratulations again on your win and the team and everything else, my dude. This is Lyle
Yeah.
Tough AF, and I'm signing out. Peace, my dudes.